Hello awesome people, welcome back to paasolocreates video tutorial. In today's video we are going to look at how to retouch this image in Photoshop. Okay, so we are going to take this image from this boring thing that you can see here. You can see how boring this image is, and then we are going to take it all the way to something like this. Wow, isn't it amazing? So let's look at how to do this now in Photoshop. By the way, I shot this photo by myself, okay, using a Canon 1200D with a softbox on it. So if you guys also want to see behind the scene on how I use my camera to take shots like this, let me know in the comment section. Then in the future I'll consider doing something like this for you guys to see. So if you want to also know how to use camera, take shots, and do a lot of stuff with it, let me know in the comment section. I will consider that in the future uploads. Alright, so before we begin, I would like you to please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and also like the video, share with your friends so that we all grow as a family together. Alright, so first of all, we are going to click and drag this image that I shot into Photoshop. So I think this is the original image. Let me make a duplicate and rename that. So I'll click and drag this photo into Photoshop. Then the picture is going to open through camera raw, okay, because I saw the image as raw, and you can see Canon ESO 1200D. Alright, so this is the camera that I shot with, and this is the image. So you see that the image is a bit dark, okay, our subject is a bit dark, so let's increase the exposure. So I will increase the exposure to brighten the image. Then also I would like to increase the contrast so that the colors in the image is going to pop a bit. So here at camera raw, we are just pushing the sliders, okay, to fine-tune in the images, all right, so that we can get a better result than before. All right, so I also like to increase the highlight, okay, so the highlight on the face so that they are going to pop, and I can see also a bit of shadows on the face, so I will decrease the shadows, all right, so that I can see the image very well. Then also I'll push the white slider a bit and reduce the black, okay, so that the places that are black, like the hair and other spot, is going to be a deep black. Then also I'll increase the clarity slider to maybe 6.4 plus, all right, and then you can also dehaze the image, all right. So pushing these sliders is going to help improve the quality of the image, like to make it look better. All right, so then let me increase the vibrance so that the colors is going to pop a bit more, and if that is too small for you, you can push the saturation. So let's see before and after. So this was before, and with only the bases, you see the difference that we have created now. All right, so let's go down and see what we can do next. Okay, so the next thing that I would like to do is to come to details, and then details, what I would like to do is to increase the noise reduction a bit. Okay, much of the noise, the pimples, and some of them is going to reduce. Okay, so I will not work too hard in Photoshop during the time of editing. Then also I will come to the color mixture. All right, so here is where we are going to also fine-tune in the colors a bit. So let's say I will start with the hue, and with this image I don't think I worked with the hue, but you can use the hue to change the color. So hue is just the color, so you can change the color, and normally I prefer my images to be yellow, so let me push this one here a bit, and you can also push the orange sliders. All right, but this image I would like to work with the saturation. All right, so how much color in the image? Let's push the reds a bit and also the oranges a bit, so we can increase those colors. And then I also like to come to the luminance and reduce the reds. All right, and also I'm going to reduce the oranges. When you push it, it's going to make it dark, but that is why I'm reducing it, so that it is going to make the images brighter. So when I click on this eye, it is going to be the before and after. You see much improvement from using the color mixture. Then also I also like to come to the last effect here called calibration, and with the calibration increase saturation for the reds and also the saturation for the green primary and then the blue primary. See before and after. Wow, you see that the calibration also gave it some vibe. All right, so let's see the overall before and after. So this was before and this is after. So I'll urge you guys to always try to edit your images at camera raw, then you can take it to Photoshop. So I'll click on here which says open, so it is going to open in Photoshop, so we can continue on with the editing. So the first thing that I would like to do is to rotate this image. So I'll go to image, all right, and then I'm going to see rotation, click on that, and I'll click on rotate clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, so you are going to get the perfect results for this. All right, so from here what I would like to do next is to click on Ctrl+O to fit everything to screen. Then I would also like to crop this image. All right, so I'll click on C, or when you come to here, the toolkit, you are going to see this. Click on it and then you click on the canvas to bring the outline for the clock, and here I will use 5x7. Okay, so when you come all the way up here, you are going to see 5x7 inches, and then I'm going to crop this image a bit. So let's push here, and I think I need a bit of space at the top, and then let's close here a bit, and then this pretty much it. This is something that I like. So when you're done, you just click on this to accept changes. So we have cropped our image, and the next thing that I would like to do when retouching images like this is to make a duplicate. Okay, so you can click on this and drag it to the plus sign here at the down here to make a duplicate. So you see we have 2 now that has duplicated for us. Then I'll zoom in, so you can use Ctrl+ to zoom in or Command+ to zoom in, and you can also use Ctrl- or Command- to zoom out. Okay, so let's zoom in using Ctrl+, and then you can also hold down the space bar on your keyboard, and with the help of your mouse you can move around. All right, so with the duplicate, I'm going to remove the blemishes using the spot healing brush. So when I come here, I'm going to see the patch 2. Okay, so I'm not going to use the spot, I'm using the patch for now. And with the patch, I'll zoom in a bit, and I want to remove this sign here. I don't like it, so I'll basically make a circle around it and drag it to a place which is clean. So this is what I'm going to do throughout this, and I'm going to remove all the blemishes, all the imperfection over here. So when you take your time to remove the details that you don't want, it is going to make your next step very easy for you. So I'll urge you to take your time to go through these small details here. All right, so you know the small details is what makes you stand out. So when you take care of your small details, you are going to stand out. So basically just make a circle around the area that you don't want. So this is what I'm doing. Then I'll click to a place which is okay. So let's do same here. Click to a place which is okay. Click and drag to a place which is okay. Click and drag to a place which is okay. So I'm going to fast forward this part so that the video don't get too boring. Okay, so I want to remove these small details that I don't feel the vibe here. And also guys, you can also use the clone stamp tool. So when you come here, just move 2 down and you are going to see the clone stamp tool. Okay, so with that one selected, all you need to do is to hold down your Alt key or Option on the Mac, then make a sample and click on the blemishes that you want to remove. So let's say I want to remove this. I'll click here, make a sample here, and just click on it to remove those details. So you can use either the patch tool or the chrome stamp tool to do these changes. All right, and there are other options that you can use, but these are my favorites, so just pick any one of them which works best for you. All right, so let's stop here. I'm not going to take the whole day to do this. I would like to make this video short, so let's move forward a bit. So from here, Control O to fit everything to screen, and you have to do that not only on the face but all the other places as well. So let's see, this was before and this is after. So you see we haven't taken much details from the face, but if you notice that you have overdo too much, then we can reduce the opacity so you can bring some of the details back. Okay, but this case I would like to keep the whole 100%. Then select both of them and click on Ctrl plus E or Command plus E, or just right click and you see merge layers. All right, so I'll click on merge layers. That will be simple. Then next I'm going to use a frequency separation to make the face smoother. All right, so I have a shortcut for that. That is Ctrl plus F5, which is going to load my frequency separation action for me. Then from here, you see everything is selected. I have my brush selected. Everything is selected. So all I need to do is to use the square bracket to reduce the brush size, and then I'm going to start to brush along this area. But maybe you guys don't have the frequency separation action, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to teach you how to do that. All right, so that you can also save that action and use it in your project. All right, so I will click and drag this one to the bin, and to start with, I'll first of all go to Windows and then I'll select actions. All right, so you see actions here. Click on it and it is going to open. Let me click and drag to open more. Then we can start by creating a new group. So maybe when you click here, you can name the group as maybe paasolocreates. All right, so you can give your group a name and click on OK. And the next thing that we are going to do is to click on this. All right, so we can start to record the action. So you see it says create new action. So I'll click on that, and then we are going to have this dialog box. Okay, then let's name this one as frequency separation. And you see we have the group, that is the set, and we can also give it a shortcut. So this is where I give mine a shortcut. So let's go again. Let's say F2 and maybe add control. Then you can also choose a color for your action, maybe yellow, green. So let's go with blue, and then you click on record. All right, so you see that everything is set now. So any action that we are going to take at this moment until we end it, Photoshop is going to record that process, so that anytime that we click the shortcut Ctrl plus F2, Photoshop is going to retrieve it, or when we come here, select it and click on play, Photoshop is going to repeat that same process for us. Then we can start working from there. All right, so first and foremost, I'll click and drag this one to the plus to make a duplicate. Click and drag again to make a duplicate. Then I will name this one as high frequency, and this one also as low frequency. Next, I'm going to click on this eye here to hide this one. Then select the low frequency, and I'll go to filter, blur, and I'll choose Guardian blur. Then I'm going to select a radius, like maybe at the point that I will see that the image starts to blur out. Okay, so let me go a bit further. So guys, I would like you to know that the amount of radius that you are going to choose is going to affect your editing process. Okay, so let's choose a figure like this. So just click and drag the slider to a point that you see that the image starts to blur, and you can see a bit of details like the eye, the teeth. Okay, so we can even go 4, and I think let's maintain 3.5, and I'll click on OK. Then I'm going to turn the eye for this one back. Okay, so click on that to turn the visibility. Select the high frequency now, and then I'll go to image, and then I will see apply image. Next, we are going to change some of the settings here. So I'll start with the layer, and I will choose low frequency for that. I will leave the RGB for the channel, and then I will change the blending mode to subtract. Then I'm going to change this one to 2 and offset 128. Okay, so this is what we are going to have, and then you click on OK. Then we are going to change this blending mode from normal to linear light because we didn't see anything again. Then we can select both of them, and we click and drag this one to the group over here so that it's going to group for us. So anytime that you're done with your frequency separation, if you see changes in the group and the original image, then you didn't do the frequency separation well. So this time around, everything is correct, so we are on point. So next, I'm going to click on this arrow to open the group, and I will select the low frequency. But before then, let me rename this one as frequency separation. Then from here, after the name, I'll select the low frequency, and I'm going to select the mixture brush tool here. Okay, so that anytime that we click on the shortcut, Photoshop is going to remember all this. Okay, and then if you have this one check, make sure it is on check and only select this one. Okay, so make sure you have this one selected, and let's leave our width. I'll leave 5% here, then 10 here, make 60, flow 60, and so follow the same pattern. These figures will be changing according to the image that you are going to work with. For my image, these settings work perfectly for that. All right, so I'm going to leave the image down in the description box for you so that you can try your hands on. All right, then lastly, we are going to end the action by going to the action panel and clicking on this. Okay, so when we click on this one, you will be able to end the action. So I'll click on it to end the action, and let me click and drag this one to the bin to delete it. And then so let's select the frequency separation that we just created, and then when you come here and click on play, Photoshop is going to remember every process that we've done and create the same thing for us. And you see, boom, we have everything created for us. All right, then let me delete it again. Then let's use the shortcut that we use, so Ctrl plus F2, and it is going to do the same thing for us again. I'll click and drag this one to the bin, but most of the time the radius is going to change according to image or based on images that you are going to work with. So to make sure you'll be able to change the radius anytime that you click on your frequency separation action shortcut, then make sure you have this box check here. Okay, so when I click on the Gaussian blur, so near to the Gaussian blur, just click on this box to check it, and then let's click on Ctrl F2 again, and you see when it gets to the Gaussian blur, it stops, so we can enter a different figure like maybe 4 and click on OK. So let me click and drag this one to the bin once more. And also when I come here all the way up here and click here and click on button mode, so it is going to change from all those red things that we are seeing, and we are going to see this one. So you see the blue that we selected is here, and we have the shortcut also here as Ctrl F2. So when we select this one, just click on it and it's going to play the action, and we can change the figure to maybe 4.1. Click on OK, and then you can start to work with your image and do whatever that you want to do. So with your mixer brush tool selected and zoom in into your image, we can start to work with it. And always also make sure you have your zoom percentage at below 100%. You see this one is 51.2%, which means it is okay, but don't zoom it over 100%. You see this one is 95. Okay, so always make sure you are below 100% so that you are not going to overdo too much. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to start to click and drag to blend some of these areas together. Okay, so clicking and dragging, and make sure you have the low frequency selected because that is what we are working with. The high frequency is used to remove blemishes. Okay, but we are going to use this one for smoothing the face. Okay, so let's see before, after. You see we weren't making enough changes, but you see it is happening in real life. Okay, and one thing that I also like you to note that when working with frequency separation, you don't have to move a white area to a dark area. So this place is a highlight area and this place is a dark area, that's the shadow. So when I click and drag highlight over that, you see I'm ruling the image. Undo, but always make sure you blend highlight with highlight, shadows with shadows, midtones with midtones. Okay, so if you know this process, or if you practice this process very well, then your images are going to look wow. Okay, so let's quickly do this and then we can move forward. I'm not going to spend the whole time retouching this image with you because that is going to take a lot of time and we don't want to consume all your time. Okay, so I'll fast forward this part, so when I'm done I'll quickly come back and explain the next things which are necessary for you to also learn as well. And by the way, please, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel and be part of the awesome family. And also, please, I want this video to get more than 100 likes. So please, anyone who watched this video, please, I beg you to like the video, okay? And also leave your comments below whether you learned something new on this channel. And also let us know whether this channel is helpful, okay? So that it will encourage us to bring you such more content in the near future. Okay, we want to improve what we are doing on this channel, so please, anytime that you see a fault, you can alert us, okay, so that we can improve upon that. So let me fast forward this and I'll get back to you. Alright guys, so this is before and this is after. So you see how frequency separation has helped us separate the image from how it was, and now we have this. So you see we have much improvement in the image. Okay, so this is how boring it is and we have taken the image to this. Alright, so you can even further do it so that you get a better result. But for this video's sake, I'm going to leave it here so that you can continue on your own. I'm just giving it just so that you can also work yourself throughout when you get something like this. Okay, so you have to also paint around every place, like blend these areas, all the places that you can see the body, you can blend them together so that you are going to have a good result at the end. Okay, and also make sure you work on the low frequency layer. Okay, don't work on the high. Alright, always make sure you work on the low frequency. Alright, and you can also use the square bracket to increase your brush and reduce the size of your brush. Okay, the next thing that we are going to do is to create a merge layer on top of this. So I'll click on Ctrl plus Shift plus the Alt key and then I'll add E. So Ctrl Shift Alt plus E to create a stand visible layer. Okay, then from here we are going to color grade our image. Alright, so you see this is the original one and this is what we have now. So the original one, after we've done with the frequency separation, this was how the image was looking like, the same thing that we have here. Okay, so we are going to take this image from this boring state to something like this. Okay, where we color grade the image, okay, and make the image stand out a bit. So let me zoom out a bit so we can work from here. And also from here that you see that we had a bit of shadows here. So this place I made a selection to remove all those places, but I'll do that maybe after we move forward a bit. Okay, so the next thing that we have to do is to make this image stand out So I'll start by going to adjustments, okay, the one in the middle. Click on that and I'll click on vibrance, and I'm going to increase the slider of the vibrance, okay. So you see how, so let me click on this eye to toggle before and after. Before, after, you see how the vibrance lifted the image from how it was. And if you see that it is too small, you can increase the saturation, but I think it is okay now. Then the next thing that I will do is to select the levels, and also I'm going to play with the level slider. So you can see we have these stops here, so I'll click and drag this one, that is the highlights, and then I'll also increase the shadows a bit, not too much because the image is already dark, okay. So we are not going to increase that much, but let me increase the highlights so that the image is going to stand out a bit. So if I put these two in a group and toggle before and after, you see we have massive changes. So let me ungroup that. And then what I also like to do next is to select this layer, okay, the levels layer. Make sure you have the layer mask selected, and then click on Ctrl+I to invert that so that the effect that we apply on is being hidden, so it is not showing now. And then we are going to take our brush tool, okay, and then with the brush tool, let's increase the size a bit. Right click and increase the size. Use the square brackets, the right square bracket, to increase the size. And then also make sure you have white here, so that we are going to paint against the black, and we are going to review that. Okay, so let me reduce the size of the brush and start to paint, and you see we are reviewing this. So the effect is going to only apply to the place that we paint, and I want it to affect only the face, okay. And let me reduce the brush size so I can paint at every corner and it doesn't affect all the places, okay. So if you really want to make your images to stand out or your photos to stand out, then this is what you might consider doing by creating a layer mask and painting around those areas which you only want to affect the changes, okay. So once we paint on one layer, then we can be duplicating onto the other effect that you'll be creating subsequently, okay. So I'm going to take my time to brush these small details, and then I'll fast forward this part so that it doesn't get boring, okay. Alright, so I'm done with mine. Let me see before and after. And also you can click on the slash bar on your keyboard so that you are going to see the areas that you painted and the areas that you mixed. So if you click on that, it's going to show this one, and you can continue painting the areas that you could have painted but you missed at the first glance, okay. So when you toggle with it, the slash, it is going to review the places, and if you are done, you just click on it to remove that, okay. So this is a max thing that helps you to see the places that you would like to paint but you didn't, or you couldn't paint it at the first attempt. So let's paint this area because we missed these areas. The same thing applies to this area as well. I think same here. Alright, so I think it is okay now. And also, if you overpaint, like if you do this and you want to undo, just switch this from white to black, okay. So I'll click on this one to switch, or you can use the X key on your keyboard. So when you click on X, it is changing the colors here. So let's switch to black, and then when we paint, we are going to bring those details back, okay. So here to we overdo, so, and when performing this process, if you have a Wacom tablet, the pen with the tablet, okay. So when you have a pen with a tablet, it is going to help you speed your work, okay. So you'll be able to fine tune small details, but when you're using the mouse, it is going to be a little difficult and trickier. But if you practice for a long time, you are going to be fine using that. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is to continue color grading this image. So the next thing that I also like to do is to select hue and saturation, and then I'm going to push the color, that's the hue, to something like this. So I'm pushing it here because I want the yellows in my images. So when you push it here, you are going to get reds, but I would like yellows in my images. So let's go with maybe +3, and let's increase the saturation, that's the yellows that we are going to have. So this is before and after, and maybe you want to affect this area, that's the body alone. We can then copy the setting from here by holding the Alt key on your keyboard, click and drag to the new layer max. Okay, so we have made a duplicate from the level slider or the levels layer to the hue and saturation layer. Okay, so we have made a copy from here to that. So all you need to do, undo, let me undo, hold on Alt or Option on the Mac, click and drag this one, and it will duplicate that. So we have the effect only affecting the face. Okay, so let's see, this is the original one that we had, and this is what we are up to now. So small we are getting there. So let's go again, and this time around let me choose curves. Okay, because I would like to brighten the images a bit. So this time around I will click on this slider to make this image brighter, and we can also fine tune in the midtones. And let me copy the settings from here. So hold on Alt, click and drag to affect only the face, and if it is too much you can reduce the opacity. When you have the layer selected, reduce the opacity. Okay, when it is too much for you. So before, after. So let's see this one as well. Okay, I think I even like the new one that I am doing. I think this one was too much, but here is a bit okay. And also I can see we have some small problems here because we have the white background getting into the face too much. So we can reduce that, okay, using the same curve. So when I go to adjustments, select curves, and this time around I'm going to click and drag this one down. Okay, and then Ctrl I to invert the max. Next, with the help of my brush tool, I'm going to paint the areas that I want to reduce the white. Okay, but this time around I'll reduce the opacity all the way down to maybe 60, 66, and then I'll start to brush on that areas. Okay, so I would like to reduce the white here so that I get the midtones, or I get the color of the subject, okay, or my model. Let me reduce the flow also because I feel it is too much. Paint here as well to reduce the white here. And you can reduce the opacity all the way down so you can paint around all the faces where you think you have a bit of white there. So let's see, this was before, this is after. Control to fade everything to screen, before, after. So you see we are now having a lot of the subject, which is giving us a good result, and I really like what we are getting now. Before, after. And if you feel it is too much, you can reduce the opacity all the way down. And I think the same thing applies here. We have more of the white here. Let me increase the opacity and reduce this. And also when you check from the first one that we did, you see that we have the atar very deep. Okay, so we have almost the details of the atar appearing, but here all the details on the atar is being washed out. The background was white and it is contrasting very much with the atar. So we need to also create a curves adjustment again, reduce all the way back to dark. So we have this, invert that, Control I, and then we are going to paint on the attire. Okay, so I'm going to paint white on black to reveal this, and you can click on the slash near to your enter key, okay, or return key, and then paint around that. Remember, we are painting white, so I will switch back to white and increase the flow and opacity back to 100%, and then let's paint back. So I'm just painting. I'll fast forward this part so we don't spend too much time here. Alright, so when you're done, click on the slash near to the enter key to review it back. So let's toggle before. This was before and this is after. You see how much improvement we are getting only using the curves, okay? If you feel it is too much, you can reduce the opacity as always, okay? But I think it is okay because we have a lot of details showing from the attire, and I think there are a bit shadows on the face. So let's also create brightness and contrast layer. So let's brighten the image and also maybe increase the contrast slider, okay? So I think maybe 2-3 pieces is okay. Reduce the opacity if you feel it is too much. So before, after, and I want this effect to apply to the whole image, both the background and everything. But I can see the hands is also a bit washed out, so let's create a curves adjustment, taking this one all the way down. Okay, then I will click on Control I to invert the marks again, then zoom in, Control plus to zoom in, hold down the space bar and move around, and let's review this area. Okay, so you see how improvement we are getting from this image only using this, but I can feel the yellow here is too much. So let's go back to hue and saturation. So adjustment, hue and saturation, and then we can click on this, and then we can reduce the color. So we can drag it backwards to reduce the color and make sure it matches with the face. Then Control I to invert it, and then we are going to paint. Okay, so you see that we are reducing the yellows here. See how amazing Photoshop is. So if you understand Photoshop and its process, you can use Photoshop to do everything that you want. And also guys, I have a beginner's course which is available, but if you want to join, DM me using the numbers you can find on your screen or in the description. WhatsApp me, let's talk over it, and I'll be sharing the videos with you through Telegram. It is very cheap, everyone can join the course, and you'll be my personal student for 1 month. I'll be teaching you everything that you need to know concerning Photoshop, using it for creating flyers or doing some amazing retouching images like this. So if you want to learn from me, then don't hesitate to contact me using the numbers you can see on your screen or in the description box. Okay, get in touch with me and learn cool stuff from me. Okay, then also I can see we have some of the whites also here, so let's create another curves adjustment layer, reduce this, and then I'm going to paint. Control I to invert that, and I'm going to paint here with this. So if you feel it is too much, undo. Let's reduce the flow and also the opacity, and then let's paint here subtly. And also still, if you feel it is too much, you can reduce the opacity. Okay, so let's reduce the opacity, and this was before, after. Okay, so let's see. You can see this image pops very well, but still haven't got that from this editing. Okay, but don't worry, we will get there. So the next thing that I would like to do is to come to adjustment, and we are going to select color balance, and we are going to try to balance the image. So we have midtones selected here, so let's toggle with the midtones. Do we want reds? No, a bit of reds, and let's increase the yellows. Okay, all right, I like yellows, I love yellows. Okay, that's why I am bringing more yellows in the image. So before, after. Okay, let's reduce the opacity a bit. Also, we can also add a photo filter on it, and if you feel it is too much, let's use this one, reduce opacity, and we can copy the face settings on it. So let's place that. So let's see overall before and after. So I'll select all of them. So select the last one, go up, then hold down your shift key, select the last one. It will select all of them, and we can click and drag this one to the group symbol over here, or you can click on Ctrl G to group. Then let's toggle before, after. Wow, this is so amazing. And if you feel the effect is too much, we can reduce the opacity a bit over here by selecting the whole group and reducing the opacity. Okay, for time's sake, I would like to end here, but there is one more thing that we can do to make this image stand out by retouching the eye and the teeth. Okay, so let's see how we can retouch the eye and the teeth. So with the retouch of eye and teeth, I would like to use curves and increase the slider of the curves up, so we have a bit of brighter. And also let's add levels adjustment and increase the levels, the white or the highlight area. And the last one that I'll add is photo filter, and with the photo filter I'm going to select cooling filter LLB. Okay, select that, and this is what we are going to get. So I'll select all the three, so we can select one, hold Control, select the next one, and add the last one. Ctrl G to group, and then let's add a layer mask. So add layer mask, and I'll click on Ctrl I to invert that. Okay, then from here the next thing that I'm going to do is that with the help of my brush tool, select that, then reduce the size of your brush with a square bracket on your keyboard, increase the flow and the opacity at the top here. So we can start from here. So zoom in and make your brush very small, and then start to paint on this. So painting on this, you see the effect. Don't worry if the effect is too much. At the end of the day, we are going to reduce the opacity. Okay, and one thing that I would like you to note is that we are not trying to change anything from the image. Okay, we are just trying to make the person or our subject look better. All right, so we are not trying to make anything serious, so we are just trying to make the person look better. Okay, it doesn't mean that she doesn't look good or she's not beautiful naturally. She is, but with the help of Photoshop we can improve that, which will make her stand out. Okay, so that is what we are trying to do over here. So when you're done, quickly move to the eye and apply the same thing there. Move to the second eye and do the same thing as well. Ctrl O to fit everything to screen, and I can see this is too much, so let's reduce the opacity to maybe 50, and let's see before, after. Before, after. Wow, this is so amazing. I'm always speechless when it comes to using Photoshop. Photoshop can do a lot of things which is mind-blowing. Okay, and also what I would like to also do next, and I'll consider you to do by yourself, is to remove these shadows from here. Okay, you see with the first image I try to remove all of that, okay, by creating a new layer, a new blank layer, and then I made a selection, okay, using the pen tool for a precise one. So when I zoom in, and maybe let me make a rough one, so clicking and making a selection like this, okay, but you have to take your time to make the correct selection. Then when you go through all the edges, you can end that, okay. So when you end it, you click on selection at the top here, you click on OK, and with the help of your brush tool, so you can click on B for that, right click on it, make your brush a bit smaller, or use the square brackets on your keyboard. Then from here, you hold down the Alt key or Option key, click to make a sample, and we can paint that. Because you have made a selection, you don't need to worry about where you are painting, because you are protected to only paint on the areas that you have selected. So when you're done, you go to Edit and you click on Deselect. So this is how I was able to remove the shadows from this, and I was able to get this, okay. So you see we have everything in place now. What I would also like to do lastly is to create another levels adjustment and increase the white or the highlight area, because I think the image is a bit down, and I think finally it is okay now. So this is the first one that we created, and this is what we have created now. Thank you very much for watching this video all the way to the end. I really appreciate your time. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and also share with your friends. Until next time, peace and keep creating.